Doris, good morning. Thanks for joining us. And as we've been discussing this matchup, it's not necessarily just about who's there, but who might not be there. We don't expect Giannis tonight, and we don't know how much of Giannis the Bucks are going to get in this finals. Is that the determining factor of whether or not the Bucks can win this championship?
Well, I mean, obviously a two-time MVP would help strengthen any lineup. But what's interesting is, we're sitting here wondering, or at least I am, is this similar to Kawhi Leonard, where, the specter of Kawhi was hanging over the Western Conference Finals, but there was very little chance that he was going to play. We believed that he would not play in that series, and that was our expectation. Here, I feel a little less certain of whether Giannis is going to make an appearance. And they're, obviously they have to play a little bit differently. And Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, I love the note on the update about they've sat for a combined 22 minutes since Giannis has went out. It gives you a sense of the load that Chris Middleton and Jrue are carrying.
Giannis is a big piece of the puzzle. But in terms of players that are going to be on the floor, what do you think is going to be the most important matchup?
Well, I think first and foremost, Monica, I have to say I clearly don't get the concept of rapid fire. And then I would say, it's hard for me not to look directly at the point guard position, right? Chris Paul's signature has been all over this Phoenix Suns season. Obviously Devin and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges have all played beyond their years. And Monty spends so much time, and I love it, talking about sort of poise and emotional maturity and all the mental aspects of competing in the postseason. But you have to look at Chris Paul, who has obviously had such a profound influence between the lines, outside the lines on this team, attention to detail, being prepared for what to expect in these moments. And then Jrue Holiday, who, what's interesting to me, when all defensive teams are named year after year after year, there's always some grumbling if Jrue is not made the first team amongst his contemporaries, because over the years, the consistent theme I have heard is this guy is the best perimeter defender out there. And so, I'm anxious to watch that. What's fascinating to me is Phoenix has, two elite mid-range guys who get to their spots, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, middle of the floor, getting to their spots, consistently knocking down tough twos, boxes and elbows. It's what I think wins a lot of times in the playoffs, and they have two guys who are elite at that. Do the Milwaukee Bucks play drop coverage as much as they did in the regular season, or do they pull Brook Lopez up a little bit more, play small a little bit more? But the primary matchup I'm looking at is Chris Paul and Jrue Holiday tonight to start the series, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be one. Doris Burke joining us on the Goodyear Hotline, ESPN NBA analyst who's on the call tonight. Game one the coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern, tip-off just after 9 o'clock, again, on ESPN Radio. Doris, you said something at the beginning of this interview, of this segment, that I just want to circle back on because I want to make sure I heard it right, because I find it interesting because I feel the same way. You said you were less certain about Giannis making an appearance in the finals. Is that so? You're saying you're not sure he's even going to play for the Bucks in the finals?
No, my point being, where I was pretty convinced that we were not going to see Kawhi at any point in the West. I know less about this situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no, I'm not doubtful. In fact, it's the wishful, hopeful part of me that you want the two-time MVP and you want the Milwaukee Bucks to be right to compete against a Phoenix team that has shown itself to be pretty complete. I just don't have the sense, where I never believed really that Kawhi was coming back.
Okay, right. And that was generally like the feeling about Kawhi on that one. And the good news is, of course, that he's not practicing with the team, but he was getting some work on a side court. So it is hopeful that he's at least on the court doing some stuff. And we'll see if he gets into the playoffs at some point. But he is listed as doubtful for tonight. Before we let you go then, we were discussing Chris Paul. And I know that Jay said a name and wanted you to react. So I'm going to ask you, when you think of Chris Paul and his career, what jersey do you picture him in the most?
Go ahead, Monica. You
man,
can jump
what
in.
a-
Hold on, Doris.
what a
If-
great
I'm sorry,
question.
Doris.
Doris,
Why
if
do
he
you
wins
do
a
this?
championship.
Because thank you,
I am
Jay.
asking the
Alan
question
left
directly.
off an important part of the question,
No, I am
Doris,
not.
which is including if he wins a championship with
No,
Phoenix.
if they are influencing your answer.
That's not right.
No, we're not, Alan.
We-
That
we
was
run
the
out of
question we
time.
started off the whole segment with.
But I think I'm falling on the side of Monica and Jay in that if he wins a championship, and I get it, you know, he was the best point guard in the league for a 10-year stretch to me, and he wasn't in the Phoenix Suns uniform. So you'd think it would be elsewhere. But I think if he wins a championship, listen, the NBA, we always talk about what we last see.
Yeah,
So it might be in the Phoenix Suns uniform, believe it or not.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.